Finally we have Ninja Gaiden on the NES. I've played a tiny bit of this like a decade and a half ago, but this is my first time trying it properly. The only other game in the series I've played is Ninja Gaiden 3 Razor's Edge on the Wii U. But my biggest experience with this series is its main character Yu Hayabusa being playable in the Dead or Alive games. The game opens up with Ryu's father Ken being killed in a duel, and Ryu is out for revenge. Ken left his son a letter telling him of his duel and that if he doesn't return he's to take up his family's dragon sword. Then he must go to America and meet an archaeologist named Walter Smith. And so we start with Act 1. I can slash and jump. There are these lanterns that act like the candles in Castlevania. Hitting them drops various items like power-ups, health, resources and secondary weapons that use up Hayabusa's spiritual strength. These are like the hearts in Castlevania and can also be found in lanterns. I have a wall jump. Hayabusa can cling onto the edges of walls and jump off them. He can't climb the walls though, only cling and jump. Right now the enemies are simple and just walk towards me. There are a couple guys with guns and dogs that charge at me quicker and always get hit in first. One secondary weapon I tried out was a shuriken which behaves as you'd expect. I also get the fire wheel that surrounds me to deal damage to enemies on contact for a limited time. That's about it for this stage, and at the end there's a door leading to stage 1-2. This is the boss, the Barbarian. He steps forward and does a couple slashes with his sword, but your range is greater than his so it's very easy to keep your distance and rack up the damage. He's a very easy boss and I only get hit once before he dies. Act 1 is deceptively easy for what's to come. Hayabusa wonders who these people are and why they're following him. He notices a woman behind him, he tells her to leave but she shoots him. This leads into Act 2. Hayabusa wakes up in a cell, he'd been tranquilised. The woman doesn't give her name but asks a favour. She gives him a statue and tells him to escape. She doesn't have time to explain and tells him to hurry. She doesn't answer any of his questions, just telling him to be careful. Stage 2-1 is the escape from this building. Got a lot of the same enemies but we have bats now. First room is very straightforward and I climb to the next. Next room has a lot more jumping over pits and is where I get my first spinning jumping slash technique. This is going to be my best friend. It uses up spiritual energy but it cuts through just about everything with huge damage. I then climb to the next room which is just a simple jump and another climb. The last room is very short and ends with me leaving through the door. Stage 2-2 has me outside. We have these banshees throwing what I think are swords at me. This one actually gets a few hits in and knocks me to my first death. Twice. After I kill him I get this fast runner sprinting right through me followed by a guy with a machine gun. Even after progressing the runner still stalks me and I can't hit him in time. I reach ladder going down but expected just dropping into the exit works as well. It doesn't, I die and I game over. This game is merciful though. I have unlimited continues and it starts me at the beginning of the stage, not the act. I do much better next time and climb down that ladder. The next screen is easy, just jumping across some pillars to the next ladder. This screen has more ground but I get hit more often on it. I get the fireball weapon here too which launches diagonally up. I do well actually until a guy bumps me off into a pit. Next time I just miss my attack and get bumped off again. Next time I die earlier when a banshee knocks me into a pit. Next time I have loads of energy and keep that spinning slash so I can make that jump while killing the enemy. Instead I jump too early and just miss it. I finally get through next time and find the exit just behind this. This is stage 2-3 with the boss Bomberhead. He wields a sickle and chain. I take a lot of hits but eventually figure out the pattern of luring him to a wall, jumping over him while he attacks and keep slashing until he turns around. However, I cling too low to the wall and jump into him and die. Dying puts me back to the beginning of 2-2 so I have to make my way back. I remember the pattern though and kill him when I get back. Hayabusa wonders about the statue and who that woman was. He goes off to look for Walter Smith, kicking off Act 3. Hayabusa meets Walter who recognises him as Ken's son by the dragon sword. Walter and Ken years ago went on an expedition to some old Amazon ruins where they found a statue and stone tablet. The statue is the one given to Hayabusa and had been stolen from Walter. It's a demon statue with the evil power to destroy nations. The demon came to Earth 700 years ago and killed many people until Shinobi defeated it using the dragon sword and sealed its power away into two statues of light and shadow. Its body was sealed in a temple. The one we have now is a shadow statue, but it gets swiped from our hands by another ninja. I go after him for stage 3-1. We've got leopards I think now and birds which are complete bastards with how unpredictable they can be. This time the items are in butterflies. I pick up an hourglass that stops time for a little bit. After the first couple birds I do fine until I get towards the end of the screen and a gang of them wipes me out. Next time I only take 3 hits and make it stage 3-2 already. For some reason items are in birds now and I get my first bazooka guy to deal with. Their shots are so slow they're easy to deal with. Of course my first death comes from a bird. I get knocked into the same pit next time but manage to wall jump my way back out. The rapidly respawning runners are back and after talking about how easy the bazookas are to deal with, I let myself get hit 3 times in a row by one and die. Next time I make it to the end of this stage but bounce off another guy with a sword into a pit. I make it next time and enter the cave. Stage 3-3 and boss, Basakir, jumps at me and throws some shurikens, killing me in seconds. 4 minutes later I'm back. I still don't know how to deal with his pattern and die again. Third try I discover I can destroy his shurikens with my sword, but when down to his last quarter I swing too early and get killed. I game next time with just 1 health left. Hayabusa reclaims the demon statue but has a bad feeling so he returns to Walter's house. but he's dying. Walter tells him that the light statue was taken. Walter kept it while Ken kept the shadow statue to keep them apart. He says the demon's starting to wake up and tells Hayabusa he has to get the statue back before he dies. Hayabusa is then held at gunpoint by men demanding he come with them. Act 4. We meet a shady guy in a dark room with the only light on him. The lights come on and he introduces himself as Foster from the CIA. Hayabusa wants to know why they killed Walter, but Foster says they didn't. He says that they found a temple in the upper reaches of the Amazon dated over 2,000 years ago. Walter found the temple and sealed it off years ago and no one has been able to get in since. Somehow a man named Guardia Demure has managed to move into the ruins and take over, calling himself the Jackio, or King of Devils. Someone working for him is most likely the one who killed Walter. The last words written on the tablet were, "When a black moon shines, light and dark break apart, the King of Darkness howls." They already know all this and the woman who shot Hayabusa was one of their agents. They send Hayabusa by plane to the Amazon to find their headquarters and get the light statue back. In stage 4-1 I'm smashing spiders for items now and get shot into a pit by the very first enemy. The usual annoying enemies are right here from the beginning, the leopards, the birds, the banshees, one of which gets me another death. Then the first enemy shoots me into the pit again. That was pathetic. Then the first birds knocked me into pits. This was when I realised the game starts getting tricky. I was thinking I was just very lucky to have the skill to make it here so quick. 2 game overs before I make it more than 20 seconds into the level. After that second game over, I got my act together and ploughed through the rest of the screen, taking only 2 hits until I reach a ladder and climb to the next screen. Said next screen consists of just more ladder. On the next screen I reach the top where a bird is already waiting to knock me to my death. I don't die next time and go a little further to get a good look at this temple. I drop onto this minecart track for stage 4-2, the one with the best music. We have new ninjas in here, some just waving swords, others jump slashing at me. There's also these dudes with their massive heads. The track leads into the bridge outside where I get ambushed by 2 birds and a jumping ninja at once. Then the bats come in just as I'm going back inside and the volume of unpredictable enemies takes me down. A couple more tries and I make it back there. A little later is a ladder that takes me to stage 4-3. First screen is just climbing a ladder. I climb the first one on the next screen and die at the top of it. A lot of enemies from stage 1-1 return here, but we do have some new ones like the guys throwing maces. I thought they were dumbbells at first. Past him is another ladder to the next screen. Here I can show off his like shuriken that flies around you and stays on the screen for quite a while. Takes out one of the new martial artist enemies throwing out Tatsumaki Senpuku axe. One of them does one so high he disappears off the top of the screen while I'm trying to deal with this cannon. Thing is I just can't time this cannon right and it kills me. I somehow get it next time. After that it's some more platforms, a guy throwing axes and a ladder to another screen. This is by far the longest level yet. Here I have to deal with wall jumping with a martial artist and a guy throwing axes at me. Next time it takes 3/4 of my health to kill the axe guy. Behind the cannon after him is stage 4-4, the boss, Kelberos. They jump around spitting pink shit at me. Since I have only 2 pieces of health left, you can guess I don't survive this. Next time I get there with 4 bits of health. They can't get on the floor below these pedestals, so I mostly stand there and come out when it's safe to hit them. They can hit you while jumping if you're too close though. It gets scary, but I kill them both with 1 health left. In the next cutscene the Jackio appears to demand the statue. Hayabusa refuses but they have the agent as a hostage. He has no choice and gives up the statue. The Jackio then opens up a trapdoor beneath him. He also has them take the agent away to be used as a sacrifice. Act 5, we're dropped into the temple's lower floors. We have these squatting guys that are all over the place, a little like the flea men in Castlevania. Later on there's also guys throwing axes like boomerangs. There was this moment where a bird knocked me out of the air and clinged to the tiny bit of wall at the top of the screen to keep hitting me some more. I don't last long after that. Then I have the squatter wipe out my entire health bar. Actually, is it supposed to be a Zhongxi with all the jumping with arms out? I get past where I died the first time for a bat to knock me out of the air and into a pit. Then the exact same thing happens next time. The next try I make it by just waiting a little and timing my jump right. Just a little later I take out the last enemy before the exit, but his axe comes back and finishes me off. I wasn't happy. 5 minutes later I get back, ignore him and just dive into the exit. Stage 5-2 has me climbing the outside of the temple. Lots of knights all over the place, but my last bit of health from the last level is taken out just below a ladder. I get back and climb up to the next screen unscathed. Got birds and jumping ninjas, but I have a spin slash which carries me to the next ladder. Now I have 4 cannons to deal with. I take a couple hits but destroy them all. Then another bat knocks me into a pit. Wait and jump over next time for another ladder to another screen. Now here's a scary part. I have to jump and cling far enough down to jump onto that bit of floor at the bottom. I can't take it easy because I have both a timer and endless respawning birds to deal with. I manage without dying though and make it to the next ladder. Stage 5-3 now and it's getting dark outside. First screen is straightforward, I make it to the ladder only taking a single hit. The second screen gives us ninjas with jetpacks throwing shurikens down at me. I lose most of my health here but get to the next screen where a machine gun man kills me. As a side note, watching this back for the script was painful. When I was compressing the video for space, it desynced the audio around stage 3 too. I could deal with it at first, but it's only gotten worse in the 40 minutes since. So I killed that guy and get another bat knocking me into a pit. When I get back, I game over again in that same pit. I finally make it past after I get back there and climb the next screen, only for the first bird to knock me into a pit and game over me again. When I get past it, it's more bazooka and running men while the birds and bats refuse to fuck off. I get the ladder inside, but an enemy gets thunder and bounces me into the pit. Game over again. I make it back next time and get up that ladder. Still not done. Want some idiocy? I make it to the ladder with no trouble, but an enemy hits me from behind and instead of ignoring it and climbing, I go after it and get surrounded and killed. Next time I do what I should have done the first time. But there's still more. 2 more enemies to go through and another ladder taking me to the roof. Up here I meet Malf. He's the one who defeated Ken. Stage 5-4 is the fight against him. He throws lightning bolts at me while I just try to win in a damage race. I messed up and bumped into him at one point, so I died with him at 4 hits from death. And dying at a boss restarts you at the beginning of the previous stage, so I have to do that whole climb again. I quickly make it back and try some shurikens, but that does worse and I die again. 5 minutes later and I just defeat him with 1 health left. It's becoming a trend. Malf says that he thought Ken and defeated him, but he's not dead. He says Hayabusa will see him if he proceeds. Act 6. Now we're in for hell. Stage 6-1 has me running back along the roof, but now it's filled with enemies. Look at this, stuck between a bird, bat, jumping guy and machine gunman. Then a martial artist and cannon past them. I don't last long. I get a bit further next time, but it's still loaded with birds and cannons before an Axeman gets the last hit in. I do figure out if I can take out the cannons by hugging the wall below them and swing my sword the second I jump. That makes things easier. But it still takes quite a few tries to make it through everything else and reach the exit. Stage 6-2 now, and this level can fuck right off. Right away we have the problem as there are dogs coming at me from behind in a spot where I'm likely to get stuck on the sides of the pillars trying to dodge them. Follow that with enemies on small platforms and jetpack ninjas coming in at an awkward position in a spot where slightly moving to the right has them respawn. They knock me into that pit many times. And if you do get past them, don't let the last enemy before the ladder block the only bit of platform you can land on and kill yourself. Takes me a while, but I get there and can climb to the next screen. Here we have gunmen on even tinier platforms along with the usual birds and cannons. But this is a short one and I just managed to get to the end with 1 bit of health and climb to the next screen. I jump and die in the first enemy. That one wasn't even the game's fault. Then respawning bird overload and it's game over. It takes me another 15 minutes to make it back to this screen, and if it's not a bird it's a bat. Then it just decides to not make a jump and it's game over again. Get back with little trouble next time, but then a runner comes by and kills me. Look at this. 2 birds, 2 bats, a banshee throwing shit and a runner. This is ridiculous. The banshee glitches himself out of existence, but it doesn't matter because the bird kills me. 15 more pissing minutes later I make some progress. I take out the first bird and inch forward to glitch out the banshee again, so I can ignore the next bird and make the jump of the ladder to the next screen. But it's still not done. Although this screen is no trouble and I make it to the end and can finally move on to stage 6-3 after 45 minutes of misery and dying on average every 20 to 30 seconds. This first screen isn't so bad. In the corner below the ladder is a spinning slash. This will be important. To get to the ladder I just have to climb a pillar and take out an Axeman and a cannon. Next room is just some simple wall climbing. Next room is enemy spam but not as bad as 6-2. A bird is the one that kills me though. I no longer feel bad for the bird Elena tore apart in 8 in the Pandora's Tower video. Even when I get back next time, it's the fucking bird. I make it past next time but the bird keeps following me. Once it pisses off I can keep moving forward where there's an hourglass to let me ignore a ninja. Then Axe Boomerang Man glitches himself away. Then it's a simple run for the next ladder. On the next screen as I'm inching towards this jumper to kill him, I fall and cling to the edge so the only outcome is him killing me. There's actually 4 of them at once but there's at least an hourglass here so I can run them off the screen. That's what I think. Game over. 15 more minutes later, the hourglass actually does let me outrun them. Then I make a beeline for the exit, taking some damage after getting knocked into the wall first. A voice praises Hayabusa for making it this far. He fucking deserves it. The masked devil appears and is the boss for stage 6-4, but he is revealed as being Ken, possessed by the demon. Hayabusa knows his dad is being controlled, but not what the source of the control is. Ken is invincible and has 2 fireballs orbiting him. To do damage I have to hit the orb in the centre of the screen, but it doesn't work out and I keep getting pinned in the corners until my death. If you've played this game, you know what's coming. Die on stage 6-4 and it boosts you all the way back to stage 6-1. That's an hour's progress just wiped out. I like this game, but I hate this. There was no reason for this other than to piss people off and drag the game on even longer. When you die on the other bosses you were already taken back to the beginning of the previous level, and stage 6-3 is already a pretty hard stage. Playing through all that would be punishment enough, but now I have to do 6-2 again after the 45 minutes it took the first time? That's atrocious. Well, 20 minutes later I'm back and this time I stay in the corner and wipe out 2/3 of his health with the fire spell. Then it was just me using my post-damage invincibility to get those last hits in. Ken is freed from his mind control and the Jackio appears to fire a spell at Ryu only for Ken to take the hit. He tells his son to avenge him. He's going to have to wait because the Jackio is the hardest boss in the game. He floats along the top of the screen firing 2 semi-homing fireballs at me. It's hard to hit him quick enough and it's hard to dodge or hit the fireballs every time. I get 3 hits on him before he kills me. Back to 6-1. That's not even the worst part. Back 10 minutes later and my health isn't restored. Your health only restores the first time you fight this guy, and I have only 3 health left, so I have no chance. This happens a lot, and it lasts for another hour. By that point I've grown so used to all 3 level layouts I'm getting back there no problem, but eventually I try a different strategy. Remember this spinning slash? These use up 5 hearts to slash, but I found out while looking up any kind of hit that pressing down as you slash in the air does a normal slash and saves your hearts. It takes a few tries, but I managed to carry the skill all the way to Vijacchio and use it to wipe him out in 2 hits. The agent is free and Hayabusa picks up his dad to take him home, but first he's told to throw the demon statues from the temple. However, a lunar eclipse appears, the black moon shines. The demon is released for one more boss fight. Thankfully he ends up being a pushover. When I found out about down and slashing, I learned that it can be used to get multiple rapid hits in the air, so I use it all the time. I take his head off, then his tail, and then finally... Ken succumbs to his wounds as he tells Yu to escape with the agent. The temple collapses but Hayabusa and the agent escaped. She gets a call from Foster congratulating her and then telling her to kill Hayabusa and steal the statues. Hayabusa tells Foster he'll game for this. He says he's already received one kind of payment, the other will be him. When the agent asks what the first payment is, Ryu says it's her. They then press their face sprites together. She then finally gives her name as Irene Liu. They watch the sunrise and the credits start. I enjoyed Ninja Gaiden, but like Castlevania, there were parts that just weren't fun. I enjoyed playing it more than Castlevania, but that mess with the final boss sending you back is horrible. If that wasn't the case, this game might be a space or 2 higher in the ranking. But it is still fun to play, it gets you pumped and those cutscenes were impressive for the NES in 1988. It may be the game I'm most proud of beating on this show so far. It'll be a while before I try any other Ninja Gaiden games though.